The royal court of the Avarian Empire was a place of awe and fear. Towering spires of crystal-like metal gleamed under the strange twin suns, and the great hall was filled with alien nobles, their forms unlike anything humans had ever seen. Some had tentacles, some had wings, others seemed almost liquid, shifting and flowing as they moved. At the center of the hall, beneath the enormous dome, etched with glowing symbols of authority, Saturday, Emperor Vale, ruler of millions of star systems. Alex Kane, a human commander and diplomat, stepped off the transport with calm determination. He was short by Avarian standards, barely 5 feet 10, but he carried himself with a confidence that came from years of navigating hostile environments. His dark uniform, simple compared to the ornate robes of the aliens, drew stares, whispers, and some outright sneers. This was his first visit to the Avarian capital. Officially, he was here as a representative of the United Earth Coalition to discuss trade agreements and interstellar treaties. Unofficially, he had learned something troubling. The young princess, Lorena, was being forced into a marriage, orchestrated by the Emperor's inner council. A marriage meant to cement the power of factions that sought to control the Empire. Through fear and manipulation, Alex's footsteps echoed softly on the polished floor as he made his way through the throng of dignitaries. He had studied the Avarian protocols carefully, but nothing in his training had prepared him for the sheer alien nature of this court. Lierna, the princess, glided past him on the dais, her tall, graceful form wrapped in robes that shimmered like liquid silver. Her large violet eyes briefly met his, and for a moment, a spark of recognition passed between them. Alex noticed her subtle signals, the tension in her shoulders, the way her claws tapped lightly against the podium, the tiny sigh that seemed almost human in its despair. She was trapped, forced to play the part of a compliant royal, but she was clearly unwilling. The ceremony began. The council spoke in the Avarian tongue, their words harsh and staccato, announcing the formal binding of the princess to a powerful lord from the Outer Rim territories. The court cheered mechanically, their voices like the hiss of wind through strange machinery. Lierna remained still, her expression polite but distant, her eyes scanning the crowd as if searching for a way out. Alex's heart pounded. He knew the rules. He knew what could happen if a human acted rashly in the Emperor's court. And yet, something inside him snapped. The Avarian laws forbade physical assault on outsiders. Humans were untouchable in the halls of power, not because they were respected, but because past treaties had granted them immunity. He could act, but the consequences were unpredictable. And then, before anyone could react, Alex stepped forward. The hall fell silent. All eyes turned to him in a single tense moment stretched into eternity. Alex ignored the whispers, the hisses, the alien glares. With a bold, deliberate motion, he grabbed Lierna's hand and lifted her from the dais. "Princess Lierna," said, his voice calm but firm, "you have the right to choose your own life. Not they, not the council, not even the Emperor." Gasps echoed through the hall. Alien guards froze, unsure of what to do. The council members shrieked in outrage. Even the Emperor's eyes widened beneath his crown, a mixture of anger and disbelief crossing his alien features. Alex held Lierna's hand firmly but gently. She hesitated for only a heartbeat, then allowed herself to be led forward. Her violet eyes met his, filled with a mixture of fear and trust. You can't do this," one of the counselors hissed. His voice was high and thin, like glass scraping on metal. "He is human. He cannot touch the royal family." Alex smiled faintly. "I can touch her because I respect her, and the law says you cannot stop me." The court erupted into chaos. Guards rushed forward, but Alex stood his ground. Lierna's small, soft hand in his gave him confidence. She was not afraid, at least, not anymore. Emperor Vale rose from his throne, his form towering above the rest of the court. He was magnificent and terrifying, his forearms flexing with authority. "Commander Kane," his voice boomed, "you dare seize my daughter. Guards, remove this human immediately." But even the Emperor's fury could not override the treaties. The chief of security, an alien named Zorath, froze, uncertain. The law was clear. No human could be harmed in these halls, even by Imperial command. The guards hesitated. Some whispered to each other. The court grew louder, the sound a cacophony of outrage and astonishment. Alex took a deep breath, keeping his focus. "Princess Lorona," he said, "we will leave. You deserve freedom. I will not allow them to take you against your will." Lorona nodded slightly. She had expected someone to intervene, perhaps one of her own kind, but none had the courage. And here was this human, standing against centuries of tradition, defying the Emperor himself. The counselors tried to speak, but their words were drowned out by the murmurs of the assembly. Some aliens, seeing Alex's boldness and the princess's silent approval, began to question their own obedience. A few even looked fearful of defying a human who dared act where they had long believed it impossible. Alex led Lorena to the edge of the dais, his movements deliberate and careful. He was not reckless. He knew one wrong step could spark violence. The alien guards closed in, their weapons raised, but none dared strike. The tension in the room was suffocating, as if the entire empire held its breath. The princess finally spoke, her voice soft but resolute. "Thank you," she said in the common tongue, startling the court. Few Avarians spoke human languages fluently, and her words carried a weight the council had not expected. Alex gave a slight nod. "We must move quickly. They will not let us leave peacefully." He guided her down the steps of the dais, past rows of stunned nobles and shocked diplomats. Whispers filled the hall. This human dares to challenge the Emperor. Emperor Vale's eyes narrowed. He had ruled for decades, crushing rebellion and dissent with ease. He had never faced a human like this, and now he realized he could do nothing. The treaties were binding, the laws clear, and the galaxy was watching. His rage was immense, but powerless. Alex reached the outer doors of the hall. Beyond them, the palace courtyard stretched wide, filled with alien transport ships and hovercraft. The security teams were gathering, but the human commander had already calculated his next move. With Lorena at his side, he could reach a small diplomatic craft docked nearby fast, maneuverable and capable of escaping before the Avarian patrols could react. The princess glanced at him, her eyes wide. "You really mean to take me away?" she asked. "Yes," Alex replied simply. "Away from this, away from them. You deserve a choice, Lorona, and I will give it to you." A tremor ran through the crowd as he led her toward the exit. Some officials whispered to each other. Others openly questioned the council's authority. For the first time in centuries, the rigid order of the Avarian court seemed uncertain. As they stepped into the open courtyard, the alien guards began to move more aggressively. Alex did not panic. He had studied their tactics and understood their weaknesses. The human mind, unpredictable and adaptable, was a weapon as strong as any laser cannon. With a commanding gesture, he signaled a nearby hovercraft. Its engines roared to life, sending plumes of steam and light into the courtyard. The guards hesitated, unsure how to respond to the sudden movement. Alex helped Lorona aboard, then took the pilot seat himself. The princess gripped the edge of her seat, her violet eyes scanning the courtyard. They will come after us," she said. "They will," Alex admitted. "But we have one advantage. They will underestimate a human, and they will underestimate your courage." With a final glance at the palace, the human ship lifted off. The courtyard fell silent behind them, the murmurs of disbelief growing into an uproar. Emperor Vale's forearms were clenched in fury, but he knew deep down that for now he could do nothing. The law, the galaxy, and the sheer audacity of the human prevented him from acting as they soared into the sky. Leaving the capital behind, Lorona finally allowed herself a small smile. She was free, at least for the moment, and she knew that the human beside her had changed everything, not with weapons, not with threats, but with courage and respect for choice. Alex adjusted the controls, his mind already racing with the next steps. The Empire would not let them go easily. Factions would mobilize, and the Council would plot their capture. But he had one simple rule: protect the princess. and show the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. For the first time in her life, Lorona felt hope. And for the first time, the court realized that one human, armed with nothing but courage and intelligence, could defy centuries of tradition. The stars stretched before them, vast and endless. And in those stars, human and an alien princess were beginning a journey that would shake an empire and prove that courage. Justice and freedom were powers no species could ignore. The human ship cut through the alien sky like a streak of silver light. Below, the sprawling capital of the Averian Empire shrank into the distance, its towers glimmering under the twin suns. The courtyard had erupted into chaos moments ago. But now, in the quiet hum of the hovercraft, Alex allowed himself a single deep breath. Princess Leorona sat across from him, still tense, her violet eyes fixed on the dashboard. "Do you really think we can escape?" she asked softly. Alex glanced at her. "They will chase us," he admitted. "The Council will not forgive this. But humans are unpredictable. That is our advantage." She studied him for a moment, a mix of admiration and doubt in her gaze. "I've never seen anyone move like you," she said quietly. "So calm, so certain." "I've had to be," Alex replied. "Out here in space, calm and certainty save lives. Fear gets you killed." The engines hummed as the craft accelerated, and soon the glowing lights of the city were replaced by the dark expanse of space, dotted with distant stars. Alex pulled up a holographic map showing patrol routes and security drones. The Averian Empire had many weapons, but their tactics were predictable. Humans, he had learned long ago, could think outside patterns. "They'll send the elite guards," he said. "Fast ships, armed with weapons we've never seen. We need to stay ahead." Lorena's small hands clenched on the edge of her seat. "I don't even know how to fly this." "You don't need to," Alex said with a faint smile. "Just hold on. Humans will handle the rest." They had been in the air for barely 5 minutes when the first warning lights appeared. A fleet of sleek Averian interceptors emerged from a nearby space dock, their engines blazing blue. They were faster than the human craft, more maneuverable in short bursts, but less clever. Alex studied their formations. "Classic trap," he muttered. "They want to herd us toward the outer asteroid field." Lorena tilted her head. "Why the field?" "Because they think we'll crash." "But they don't expect humans to use the field against them," Alex said. "Hold tight." He adjusted the ship's trajectory sharply, diving toward the asteroid belt. The Averian ships followed, predicting his moves with standard tactics. But Alex had prepared a surprise. He had studied the field using old reconnaissance data. With careful timing, he launched small decoys reflective drones that mimicked the craft's energy signature. The interceptors swerved, firing wildly at the false targets. Leorona gasped as lasers streaked past them, cutting through asteroids and sending fragments spinning. "You're incredible," she shouted over the roar of the engines. Alex smiled faintly. "You'll see humans can be unpredictable when cornered." The decoys worked perfectly. Several enemy ships collided with asteroids or each other, exploding in bright flashes of light. The remaining pursuers hesitated, and Alex used the moment to slip deeper into the belt, weaving between massive chunks of rock with precision that only years of training could provide as they emerged from the belt. Lorena finally exhaled. "I never knew humans could do this," she said, awe in her voice. "So clever. So brave." Alex glanced at her. "Bravery is easy when someone you care about is counting on you." The princess looked down at her hands, then met his eyes. "I trust you," she admitted. Their temporary calm did not last. The Averian fleet regrouped, now larger, their ships bristling with advanced weapons. Alex swore under his breath. The Council would not give up easily. The Emperor would demand her return. "Listen carefully," he said, bringing up another map. "There's a human diplomatic station nearby. It's neutral territory. If we reach it, they cannot touch us. But to get there, we need to jump through controlled space."
"How far?"
Lorena asked. "Not far, but heavily patrolled. We need to be fast and smart." The next few hours were a tense dance of strategy and speed. Alex used every trick he knew: sudden acceleration bursts, jamming signals to confuse tracking sensors, and carefully timed maneuvers to force the Avarian ships to scatter. Lorena watched in amazement as he anticipated every move, never once panicking, even when a missile narrowly missed their ship. At one point, a massive cruiser blocked their path. Its hull gleamed with energy weapons ready to fire. Alex considered ramming it would be deadly, but then he remembered an old human tactic from centuries ago: feint and flank. He engaged the ship's stealth drive, making the craft invisible to sensors for a few critical seconds. The cruiser fired blindly into empty space. Alex guided the human ship around the side of the cruiser, appearing behind it in full view. The enemy was momentarily confused, and Alex used the distraction to slip past, leaving the cruiser behind in a cloud of exhaust. "You're fearless," Lorena said, gripping the edge of her seat. "I thought I'd be captured for sure. Humans survive by thinking differently," Alex said. "You'll learn that soon enough." As they neared the human station, a distress signal suddenly appeared on the ship's console. It was from the sympathetic alien officials who had secretly aided Leorona. "Princess Leorona," a voice said over the encrypted channel, "we have prepared a safe exit route. But the Council has sent reinforcements. You must hurry." Alex's jaw tightened. "They're trying to trap us. Stay focused." With expert precision, he navigated the ship through the final stretch of controlled space. Enemy ships pursued them relentlessly, firing waves of plasma beams and missiles. Each time, Alex countered with ingenuity, flipping the ship to confuse targeting systems, releasing magnetic pulses to disable weapons temporarily, and even using small asteroid fragments to block pursuit. Finally, the human station appeared, a massive orbital platform orbiting a green-blue planet. Its docking ports were designed to accommodate all known species, and its defenses were formidable. But Alex did not rely on firepower. He relied on rules. No military action could be taken against a human ship in this neutral territory. As they approached, the station's docking protocols automatically engaged. Shields opened, docking clamps extended, and a voice greeted them. "Welcome, Commander Kane. You are clear to dock." Lorena finally allowed herself to relax, sinking into her seat. "We made it," she whispered. Alex exhaled. "For now," he said. "But this is only the beginning. They will not give up easily. The Council will want her back, and the Emperor will demand answers." Inside the station, the princess marveled at the humans and aliens working together. Scientists, diplomats, and engineers moved in organized chaos. Their cooperation, a stark contrast to the rigid hierarchy she had left behind. Here, skill and courage mattered more than lineage or title. Over the next few hours, Alex briefed Lorena on their next steps. They needed to secure allies, plan their next move, and ensure the princess could reclaim her freedom. But even here, safe within human territory, Alex could feel the shadow of pursuit. The Empire's influence reached far, and many would try to retrieve her. By force or deceit, Lorena studied the humans around her. They were strong, intelligent, and fearless in ways she had never imagined. They were nothing like the nobles of her court, who valued status over courage. And she realized something profound. Humans were capable of inspiring change. Not with threats or domination, but with sheer bravery and cleverness. "You think we can really change things?" she asked Alex quietly, once the docking sequence was complete. Alex met her gaze steadily. "We don't need to change the whole Empire at once," he said. "One step, one action, one choice at a time. Humans have survived against impossible odds because we refuse to give up. And now, you have a choice too. You can either accept what others want, or you can fight for yourself." The princess nodded slowly. "Then I will fight. With you." Alex smiled faintly. "Good. You'll see that courage is contagious." Outside the station, the distant glimmer of Avarian ships could be seen in the void of space. They were still hunting, still relentless. But Alex knew their predictability was their weakness. Humans thrived in chaos. Humans thrived where others feared to act. In the quiet of the docking bay, Lorena felt something she had never felt before: hope. And Alex, the human who had seized her from the Emperor's court, felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. They had escaped for now, but the Empire was vast, cunning, and patient. As night fell on the planet below, the station's lights glowed like stars in orbit. Alex and Lorona prepared for the next move. There would be challenges, betrayals, and battles ahead. But for the first time in her life, the princess believed in freedom. And for the first time, she truly understood the power of a human who dared to act when no one else would. Above them, the stars stretched endlessly, a reminder that the galaxy was vast, and that human courage, could echo across worlds. Alex glanced at Lorona one last time. "Rest now," he said. "Tomorrow, the real fight begins." She nodded, leaning back, her violet eyes reflecting the lights of the station. "Tomorrow, we take a stand," she whispered, and somewhere deep in the Empire, the Council and the Emperor realized that one human had changed everything. One human had turned fear into courage, order into chaos, and tradition into something new. The chase was over, but the war for freedom had just begun. The human diplomatic station hovered quietly above the green-blue planet, its metallic surface glinting under the distant sun. Inside, Commander Alex Kane and Princess Lorena moved quickly through the bustling corridors. They were not safe yet. The Avarian Empire's reach was long, and the Council would stop at nothing to reclaim the princess. Alex stopped in a control room, scanning the galaxy's map. Red dots flickered across the sector Varian patrols, mobilizing in response to the escape. "They're coordinating a blockade," he said grimly. "If we stay here too long, they'll trap us between fleets." Lorona leaned over his shoulder, her violet eyes scanning the map. "We can't just hide forever. We have to do something." Alex nodded. "Exactly. That's why we're not hiding. We're going to the heart of the Empire, to the capital itself. We'll show them that one human and one princess can't be ignored." The princess looked startled. "You want to go back? To the Emperor?" "Yes," Alex said firmly. "But not to fight with weapons. We'll fight with truth, law, and courage. That's how humans win." The next morning, a diplomatic convoy arrived. Human ships, escorted by alien allies who secretly opposed the Council, prepared to enter Avarian space. Alex and Lorona stepped aboard the flagship, its hull sleek and powerful. Lorona felt a mixture of fear and excitement. The journey ahead was dangerous, but for the first time, she was acting for herself. As they entered the Empire's space, Alex explained his plan. "We will dock at the Central Court as free individuals. The Council expects us to be afraid, to hide. Instead, we will show them we are fearless. The treaties protect us. The galaxy is watching. And you, Lorona, are the key to changing everything." Lorona took a deep breath. "Then let's do it." The human fleet arrived at the capital system with quiet precision. The Imperial monitors immediately detected their approach, sending alerts to Emperor Vale and his council. Panic and confusion spread through the court. Never before had humans entered the capital so boldly. Alex guided the flagship into docking orbit. Lorena stood at his side, tall and regal, despite the tension. As the doors opened, the hallways of the royal court seemed impossibly long. The ceiling glittering with lights that reflected in the polished floors, guards and courtiers froze as they saw the human and princess walking side by side. Inside the main chamber, the Emperor sat on his throne, flanked by council members. His forearms clenched in anger, and his eyes blazed with fury. "Commander Kane," he thundered, "you dare return to my court? You have no right." Alex stepped forward, unflinching. "I have every right under the law," he said firmly, "and I am not here as an invader. I am here as a representative of humanity and to ensure that Princess Lorona chooses her own path." The court erupted into murmurs. Alien nobles whispered among themselves. The council shouted in outrage. Some wanted to arrest Alex immediately, but the treaties were clear. Harming a human in the capital would provoke the entire galaxy against the Empire. Lorena stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "I am no longer a pawn of your council," she declared. "I will choose my own life. I will not be forced into a marriage for political gain. I will act as I wish." The room fell silent. Never had a royal princess spoken so openly, challenging centuries of tradition. Emperor Vale's face darkened. "You defy me, my daughter. Do you know what this means?" "Yes," Lyrana said. "It means that I am free, that freedom is more important than fear. That courage is stronger than your authority." Alex placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "You are not alone. Humans and allies across the galaxy are watching. Your choice is protected. You can shape the future of your empire, but only if you act with courage." The council erupted into debate, their voices sharp and angry. Some argued that the emperor must enforce his will, but others, secretly sympathetic, whispered that the empire had grown stagnant. One by one, members of the council began to falter. The boldness of a human and the determination of a princess had shaken them. Emperor Vale roared, rising from his throne. "Enough, Commander Kane. Remove this human at once." Alex remained calm. "You cannot," he said simply. "The law prevents it, and if you do, the galaxy will act against you. I did not come here to fight. I came to show that courage and choice are stronger than fear." A tense silence filled the chamber. Guards stared at the human, unsure whether to obey the emperor. Some council members stepped aside, secretly relieved that someone had challenged the corrupt inner circle. Then Lorena raised her voice again. "I choose to end this tradition of control. I choose to lead with wisdom, justice, and freedom. And I will not stand silently while others make my decisions for me." Alex watched as the court slowly shifted. Nobles who had once bowed to fear now looked at Lyrona with respect. The human courage that had sparked her own bravery had begun to inspire change. Outside the chamber, human fleet remained visible, a reminder that intervention was possible if the Emperor acted rashly. Alex and Lyrona had calculated their move perfectly, diplomacy backed by undeniable strength. The Emperor clenched his fists, realizing that even his power had limits. He could rage and demand, but the law, the treaties, and the silent pressure of the galaxy prevented him from acting. For the first time, he felt powerless in his own court. Lyrona stepped closer to Alex. "I never imagined humans could be so." "Fearless," she said softly. Alex smiled faintly. "Fearless is not the right word. Humans are just willing to act when it matters. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is courage." The Emperor finally sank back into his throne, his anger simmering but restrained. He knew the Council could not enforce their will without risking war or rebellion. The galaxy had eyes on this court now. One human had proven that rules and courage could challenge centuries of tradition. In the following days, Lyrona began to implement reforms. She met with sympathetic council members and alien officials who had once been silent. Together, they created laws protecting choice, freedom, and fairness for all citizens of the Empire. Humans, who had been underestimated for centuries, became allies and teachers, sharing ideas of justice, diplomacy, and strategy. Alex remained by her side, advising, guiding, and sometimes challenging her decisions. Lyrana grew stronger with each passing day, learning from both human ingenuity and her own instincts. The Empire, once rigid and fearful, began to open its eyes to new possibilities. In one final ceremony, Lyrona addressed the court. "Let this be a new era," she declared. "An era where courage is valued over fear, where choice is respected over control, and where all species, human, Avarian, and others can live with honor and freedom." The court erupted in applause, some hesitant, some enthusiastic. The council had changed. The Emperor had learned humility. The galaxy had witnessed a profound example of human courage. Alex watched from the sidelines, feeling a quiet satisfaction. He had come to this empire as an outsider, underestimated and dismissed. Yet, through a single act of boldness and respect, he had sparked a revolution in thought, not by violence, but by proving that humans could inspire change even in the most rigid societies. Lyrona approached him, her violet eyes shining. "Thank you," she said simply. "You showed me what courage really means." Alex shook his head slightly. You did the hard part. You chose to act, and that's what changes worlds. Together they looked out over the Empire from the balcony of the royal palace. The twin suns bathed the city in light, and for the first time, the Avarian capital seemed alive with hope rather than fear. The galaxy had seen what humans were capable of, not just strength or weapons, but the courage to stand up for justice, the ingenuity to overcome impossible odds, and the will to inspire others to choose freedom. And as the stars stretched endlessly beyond the palace, Alex realized that this was only the beginning. The Empire was vast, challenges remained, and many would resist change. But one human and one princess had proven a simple truth: courage. Freedom and choice are forces no empire can ignore. For Lorena, life would never be the same. For Alex, humanity had once again shown that even in the darkest halls of alien power, one human could ignite hope and change the course of history. The story of that bold human and the Asparian princess spread across star systems, inspiring others to act with bravery, wisdom, and compassion. And somewhere in the stars, humans and aliens alike began to understand that the galaxy was not ruled by fear, but by those courageous enough to seize their destiny.